Welcome, everybody. I'm Mike Noack with the Blue Lake Consulting Group. And with me today, I have Bree, who we'll be talking to. Welcome to the show, Bree.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
You bet. So the Blue Lake Consulting Group does executive technical search. What we really pride ourselves on is attracting and identifying high performance talent for our clients all across the country. So, performance is a topic that I want to discuss today and dig in a little bit deeper. It's a complex topic, but I always feel like people learn best when they hear compelling stories from people like Bree that have achieved an elite level of success. Whether it be in their lives and their careers in athletics, etc. So on performance, we're going to be talking sports related today, boxing in particular. And, fact check me on this, but ESPN did a exhaustive study on 60 sports across the world, and they ranked them on several 9 to 10 factors from speed and strength and agility and hand-eye coordination, mental fortitude, etc. And the number one most difficult sport, not surprised, it's boxing. So that's why I felt like this was so important to take somebody that has achieved such a high level of success in a short time in one of the most difficult sports in the world. So Briana, I appreciate you being here. So Briana has won Wisconsin Golden Gloves. She has achieved a national title. She has qualified for the Team USA Olympic boxing team, 2020 in Tokyo, which is now 2021, pandemic, here we go. So all of that in a very, very short amount of time. So, I mean, from my perspective, and I've been boxing for a long time at a very low level, it is amazing to me to have somebody like you step on the scene and within a few short years, rise to such meteoric success. It's been fantastic to see and watch. Quite frankly, I'm amazingly impressed at it. So that's why I wanted to dig in a little bit about your background. How did this all come to be? Because personally, I've said this to you before. You're our Wheaties box, waiting to happen. It's kind of the childhood dream to move up like you did. So let's two questions here to start. So first, tell us a little bit of the story about how you got into boxing in the first place, and then give us a little bit of that story, and then some of the factors that you think contributed to your high level of success in the sport.
All right. Well, really, it started when I was around 6 years old, watching the Tyson fight. I'm not sure if it was Tyson Holyfield. It might have been an earlier fight than that, but I remember I just fell in love with watching them, how they competed. It was one-on-one combat, and I've always been that type of person where I wanted to be the only one, with eyes on me and kind of showcasing my talents, showcasing my athleticism, my strength. And I was raised in a family of 5 girls, had a twin sister, so I was pretty competitive, just from the jump. And I think when I mentioned to my parents I wanted to box, their initial reaction was like, "Oh, this is interesting. Like, I wonder if issues. Let's just put them in team sports." And so team sports, I think, seem like less intimidating, to the outside world. So they put us in team sports, which I'm thankful for. I think in one sense, although it wasn't the sport that I really wanted, to be pushed into, it was still something. It was still something that I really wanted to do. I still wanted to do sports. So I naturally gravitated towards individualized positions within those team sports. And it wasn't really something I thought of until later on in life. Just looking back, because I've been asked this question multiple times throughout my boxing career. And now that I think of it, I think I've always been more inclined to being an individual within the sports that I've played. And boxing was just one of those things that had to be put on the back burner while I was under my parents' roof. And after I went through school, went through grad school, undergrad, and did 3 years or so through my full-time job. And it's a lot, it's like a dream that, sparked when I was at such a young age, being put on the back burner for that long. I guess some people would say that, it just gets lost. But it's always been within me. It's always been, I guess, my true north to follow that dream. So I got into a situation where I was in a part-time job, working on getting a full-time job. So I had a lot of time on hand. And, I decided to pick that sport as one of those things that, would focus me back in on, I guess, keeping myself busy. And I was good at it. Um,
But this wasn't until just a couple of years ago that you picked it up, right?
I picked it up in 2016, November.
Right, starting. So what's happened since then? So give us a little of the timeline of what you've been able to achieve since then.
Since 2016, I have achieved a title at the Women's National Golden Gloves in Florida, and that was July 2017. That was my first national tournament that I've been to. That was actually my first competition. I won that. So then I went on to competing in different local shows. And really the goal was to, after I competed, after my third one, I think, I really got the itch to, wanting to be on Team USA. And I remember telling my coach, Andrea, about this. And she said, well, I think you could do it. Like, we're going to have to really work hard. And I think that you can do it. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, but I have another support person who believes in me just as much as I believe in myself. So that was big. So we went on to compete in, the 6 bout minimum of what it takes to compete at nationals, and the first national USA Boxing national tournament that really does put you in the spot of either competing for the nationals. So there's regionals, which is a national tournament, but then there's nationals, which is, the first and the second place winner of that tournament, they get chosen for Team USA. They represent USA. And so that was always the goal. So in 2018, I went for it. Tennessee, I won 2 of the 3 fights, and I came in second, but that second place finish qualified me for Nationals 2018 in Salt Lake City. And my first fight was actually against the person that I had lost to in finals of the Eastern qualifiers, and I was determined to beat her. I was like, you know what? Like, I didn't sign up for this to be second. So then I fought her the first nationals I had done, and then I went up against the number 1. Now this woman, I was 165 at the time. She was on Team USA already, and she had been on Team USA ever since 2016 after Rio Olympics. So it was right after Clarissa and Franchon Cruz had been on, and they had fought it out in the trials. And of course, Franchon lost, Clarissa Shields won. So then she went for her second Olympics. So that was a little intimidating, but I still like had the fire, I guess, within me to beat her. And I tried with all my might, and it just wasn't in the cards for me. So then that really didn't deter me or anything, because soon after that, I had a few more fights. I won those fights. And then the next big one was Golden Gloves. So National Golden Gloves I competed in at 165. And then I got invited out to a USA camp out in Colorado at the OTC, so the Olympic Training Center. And when I stepped on that campus, it was kind of like I was recognizing to myself, like, okay, I do belong here. Like, this is like my people. This is where I belong. And it wasn't so much of I I guess like a realization, like, oh my gosh, it was like, yeah, like this is where I belong. And I guess that was the start of my the true like Olympic journey.
Right. Which was, a very fast start and still continuing to go. So a couple of key takeaways that I got from that, which were interesting, is that, you've always had this desire, to be able to do this and compete hand-to-hand combat individual sports, but, that wasn't in the cards early on. But you never let it go.
Mhm.
You always kept that, fire lit. You never let it go to say, okay, that's not going to be me anymore. You just waited for the right time for that to work out in your life to go after it. And I think the second key thing that you said was that you found people that understood and supported your dream, and had your best interests in mind, like Andrea. I mean, so for everybody, we're surrounded by people that tell you you're not good enough, or that's not for you, or that's too much of a undertaking. Why would you go into that? A lot of people that will hold you back. So I think it's important to go out and find those other people that not only are going to support you and push you, but know that it's going to be good for you, and help add some value, along the way, which is huge. So can you think of any particular challenges, or failures that kind of stick in your mind that, were big and you had to like wrestle with how you're going to get past it? And give me a frame of thought of kind of what that looked like for you.
Uh, I guess I'll go to a scenario. Um, when I was training, like right before Eastern qualifiers, and Eastern qualifiers would, qualify you for Olympic trials, which was in December of 2019. So, I was like, it was right after I had lost um, at a weight class of 165. And I had always, thought like, oh, okay, this is my weight class. This is 165. Like, this is me. And I had lost my, I think it wasn't my first fight, but it was a tournament that I thought that I was really gonna win at. and and the first time I fought, it was against this woman who literally kind of bullied me. She was a very big woman who kind of just wrestled me the whole time. And it was defeating, but it wasn't like I failed. It was a weird feeling because it was almost like I needed to be pushed in another direction. And so I decided to go down to a weight class of 152 or 69 kilos. And I was kind of struggling with myself. Like, okay, is this the weight class I need to be at? It's like, am I going to be faster? Am I going to be as strong? And, like I had moments in the gym where sometimes I didn't even want to be there. Sometimes I needed like someone to be there to push me, because, and like just like you said, you surround yourself with people that believe in you, even when sometimes you don't believe in yourself. And Andrea was there to point me back in that direction, I guess, back to my true north, which is, in my heart, it was like, you're made for this. Like, you're made to be on this path, and to follow your heart, to be an Olympian. So I think it was a challenge, but it was a challenge that was needed for me to grow, not only mentally, but spiritually as well. And it helped me, achieve a lot. I think challenges like that are needed, to kind of refocus. And I guess my mindset was changed from then on out, to focus on, what's important, to achieve what I need to achieve. And then I achieved what I needed to achieve. And
Yeah, I mean, that's great, because Andrea and I talked about the journey, to be able to get to where you need to be, not so focused on the actual goal, but like all the things that have to happen for you to get to that goal. And, kind of what you just described was, you hit a roadblock, ran straight face into it, and it was in the way of your goal. You changed gears, you adapted, you thought about different ways to approach it, and you came out the other side a winner from it. But I mean, you're looking to go from weight class to weight class. You're looking at a guy that can gain weight just by drinking tap water. So, I mean, tell me, how, what goes through your head? How do you keep pushing yourself? Say, elite athletes or elite performers have a burning desire to win inside, and they kind of feel this fire. It's always lit. And I know that you've got that. So like, what does training look like? What do you have to do in your day-to-day life to kind of keep pushing towards that goal and not step back?
Yeah, well, honestly, I think what started it was, when I first stepped into first gym, I was not 165. I was around 189, something like that. And so it's interesting because a lot of people think that I had started boxing and I was already 165 or 170 or something. But the goal was to get me down to 178. And which is 178.
Yeah.
And then I just kept working at it and running. I hated running. And there are times when I hated it so much, but Andrea like pushed me because she would run with me. And it would be after training. So I was dead tired. And Andrea is faster than me anyways. Even if we're both fresh, she's faster than me. And I was tired. I was tired as a mess. And she was like, okay, come on. And I'll always remember when I was just really, really tired and I was tempted to walk. But I'm kind of competitive too. So then I always thought that, oh, maybe I'll just catch her on a bad day and I'll just breeze past her. That never happened. But she would slow down sometimes. I'm like, dang it, she's slowing down. That means she's waiting for me. Now I have to speed up. But there are those times that kind of just made me realize like how much she cared, because not a lot of trainers would do that, run with their, go through the pain with their athletes. So then, that was like the beginning of my weight cutting journey. I got down to 165 by the time we needed to get down, which was not actually in July. It was actually in April or something. And that was like it was the Arkansas tournament. And I think it's called, what was that called? Some springs. And Hot Springs, Arkansas. And it's like a title tournament. And I don't think they have it anymore, but it was a pretty big tournament and I was really, really excited. And I actually got there and I was unopposed. So they had no one for me. No one. And I was really, really torn. I was so devastated. And it's weird, right? Like I trained for as long as I trained, I got down from 189 to 164. And I was really proud of myself. I had never, ever, cut weight like this. And that was really hard. But I mean, it was just the beginning. That's kind of how I started to cut weight. And then I'm a strength conditioning coach as well. So I practiced what I preached, and I looked at my nutrition. I tweaked my nutrition a little bit, and it really wasn't hard to cut down to 152. Most of the times I weigh in a lot lighter anyways on the scale, just to give myself like 2 pounds or so. But
That's, that's fantastic. And a lot of people can't do that. And it seems too daunting to kind of take something like that on. So you have to be dedicated. But, to your credit, you have the physicality, you have the emotional, stature to do it. You have the fortitude and you have the desire, but you didn't do it alone. And that was, I think that was important because, you said yourself, there were times where you didn't want to go. You didn't want to, you get burned out. And people think like, well, elite performers, they just find a way to get past that. No, you're human, and it's okay to like just not want to do it or just not have to be 100% on all the time. But when you're surrounded by other people and you have people like Andrea, your coach, that is willing to be the leader that digs in with you, is willing to go through the hard work and actually exemplify what you need to do. Sometimes that's the needed push that people need too. So, I guess the key point is, you can't do it all on your own. Nobody does it all on their own.
I will say this, and I don't think I've told anyone this, but there was, I think it was like 2 weeks prior to the Hot Springs tournament, or maybe a week, that Andrea was gone. And so I was like I was a wee heavier than 165. And I was like, okay, well, when Andrea comes back, like I'm gonna be 164. And yeah, like I knew that she was gonna come back and like expect me to be there, expect me to be at 164, because I told her that. And so yeah, I mean, to what you just said, it matters. It matters to have people around you that believe in you, because sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that accountability. Because I was out there, like there's this prairie run that we would do, and I was out there every day. Like I'm gonna go out there every single day, and if I don't drop these last 5 pounds by the time coach gets back, like I'm gonna be disappointed in myself. Like it wasn't about like Andrew being disappointed in me, because I don't think that would happen. But it was like, okay, I want to make that promise that I made to her. I'm making that promise to myself too. So yeah, it's all good. People in your corner is always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I was going to point that out too. Andrea never ridicules, never barks, never screams at you, never drives with an iron fist. She just has a way about her where she knows your potential and she knows where you want to go, but it's on you to take yourself there. But she just has a way to draw you, up and push yourself past, which is huge. And for those of you that didn't see the previous episode, Andrea Nelson is a head coach down at Ford's Gym. Is Bree's coach, which took her this far, and was the first female pro boxer in the history of Wisconsin. So knows something, about boxing, knows something about perseverance, and knows something about pushing through. And one question that I want to ask you that I asked her was, it's clear that you both have, just shattered the ceiling for women, especially in a sport like this. So to be able to achieve what you've done in a short amount of time, and being a female in what is perceived as a male-dominated sport, like what does that mean to you? Does that resonate with you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, to some degree, yeah, for sure, it does. I mean, I'm not done, so
No, you're not.
Beginning for me, and I think that like my duty, or one of my duties, being put on this earth, is to give other people, that encouragement. Hopefully, my life can mean something. When I'm gone, it'll be a job well done. If I can influence a multitude of young girls out there, and people in general, to push past obstacles and adversity and achieve their dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. And that leads into my last question was, as people are out there thinking about, the things that they want to do in life, to maximize their potential, whether it's in their job, in athletics like you did, or whatever the case is, like, what kind of advice do you give them? What else can you leave us with that, pushes people to kind of go after what they want to go after?
Yeah, I'd say that this is kind of in the theme, like have people in your corner. I'd say know your value, and trust it. And lastly, build up. It's like have a board of directors, right? Like have those people in your corner that you can go to, that are going to have your back, that believe in you, and that value you just as much as you value yourself and your dreams, and that will hold you accountable to achieve them no matter what. Know that you're going to have to make sacrifices to achieve them, and never think that those sacrifices are going to be bad things, because at the end of the day, I don't see failures as failures. I see them as lessons, and learn from those lessons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. It takes a community to get past it too.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That was great. So I appreciate you joining us, sharing some wisdom. Obviously, I'm going to be there to witness all of your future successes that are yet to come. But thanks for being on, and I'll let you go.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bree. Take care.